Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Diao. I am an assistant professor in the Department of East Asian Studies at the University of Arizona, and I am very excited to present today this panel. I'm just going to introduce this panel. My co-panelists would actually present their experiences about how their experience influenced their knowledge, their identity, and their teaching practices. So the title of our panel today is The Role of Study Abroad on Teachers' Professional Identity Development. And the picture that you sort of are seeing, but not really, is actually from the webpage of the project itself. It's a Fulbright-Hays project. So, and my co-panelists today are, they're here. We have Amanda Agate. Do you want to raise your hands? And Grant Kastner, Madison Loya, Caroline Peterson, Kay Xie, Sandra Wang, and Mariah Young. And as you can see, my co-panelists are actually from quite diverse places across the United States. They are representing the group who actually participated in the project. I had the privilege to work with a group of very, very passionate and very, very devoted teachers, which you will be able to tell by just listening to their presentation soon. And before we start, I do want to selfishly add a New Year wish here. Today is actually my New Year. Happy Chinese New Year to all those who celebrate. I wish all of you a healthy and prosperous New Year. And the project that we're going to present today was a Fulbright-Hays project, and therefore it received a funding from the U.S. Department of Education. We also received support from the Department of East Asian Studies and also the College of Humanities at the University of Arizona. We also have, the project itself was co-organized by the Department of East Asian Studies and also the organizer of the conference today, Circle. And today we have 2 hours, and we have a lot to present. So I'm gonna do a brief introduction. Hopefully I wouldn't take more than 15 minutes. And then we will have 3 presentations. And then it's gonna be a little bit from other panels. We're gonna have a Q&A session after 3 presentations. And then we have another 2 presentations. And then we'll have a second Q&A session. So I am, of all my co-panelists today, I'm actually the only one who's not. Well, I'm a teacher myself, but I'm not. I work in the university setting, so it's a little different. And so I came to this project as a researcher, a study abroad researcher. I have done research about study abroad, language learning, intercultural development, etc. And so I'm going to do a little bit about the literature review, and I'm going to explain to you the rationale and the arrangement of the project. As a study abroad researcher, I have seen, and you probably have seen as well, that today and also in the literature in general, we have a lot of studies about the benefits, linguistic and cultural benefits of study abroad for students. What about teachers then? And so we have seen some literature how study abroad, for example, can improve foreign language and bilingual development among foreign language and bilingual teachers. We have also seen research showing how study abroad could help the development of professional language teacher identity. Also for teachers, for example, ESL teachers who work with diverse students, it can help them, it can enable them to work with culturally, linguistically diverse students in public schools, and also it can cultivate empathy, again, for ESL teachers towards culturally and linguistically diverse learners. So what we're seeing is that we have a lot of literature about also the linguistic and cultural benefits for professional teachers. However, you'll probably notice that a lot of the literature has so far focused on, foreign language teachers, bilingual teachers, or ESL teachers. What about just teachers in general? And if we believe study abroad has all these benefits for our students, it probably can benefit more than just language teachers. I'm not trying to say we should exclude, but I'm saying that we should include everyone. So we have seen, for example, this book, which is a collection of essays talking about globalization and teaching, how teachers across the social sciences should develop global perspectives on social justice. From that perspective, then, I wanted to see how study abroad, for example, a sojourn in China could actually help teachers shape their identity, intercultural identity, but also, how that would impact their teaching practices. So the focus on this panel today, as I have said, it was very much focused on this Fulbright-Hays project. The title was Education, Society, and Globalization in China. It was collaborative in several ways, which you will probably hear a bit more today, but it was collaborative in the sense that we have teachers from across the United States, across different teaching contexts. We have language teachers, we have ESL teachers, we also have teachers teaching other subjects in other contexts. We also have Chinese teachers being involved in this project. The panel's focus today is really teachers' identity and practices, because we have seen a lot of literature talking about study abroad, helping or playing a role in the development of identity for our language learners and study abroad students in general. And identity from a teacher's perspective, it could also shape up teaching practices. It's not just identity, it's also how we teach. So I'm just taking a very integrated approach to understanding how study abroad impacts teachers in different ways. So, as I have said, the Fulbright-Hays project itself was a professional development study abroad experience for K-16 educators. And I, as a study abroad researcher, tried to incorporate a lot of empirical evidence in the design. So I incorporated quantitative pre-post measures, but I also incorporated ways to for the participants to document their experience qualitatively. So they had to document their experience using journal entries. We had group reflections, group discussions, etc. So we had the pleasure of working with 12 wonderful K-16 educators, and they came from a variety of teaching contexts, as you can see here. And when they were in China, we went to several different places. The majority of the project took place in Shanghai, because for a variety of reasons. It's China's largest city. It also has a large migrant population, which provides us a context to discuss migration and social justice and different cultural perspectives. It also is known for its aspirations for globalization, especially educational globalization, which I will mention a little later. We also visited the city of Nanjing. And this is a picture that we took during our trip. Nanjing is known for a variety of things in the Chinese context. It has a long history of being an important regional city in China. And it also was where a lot of tragedies took place. So we also talked about, the World War II and the massacre of Nanjing. And also this is the place where we visited. That was when China started to seek for modernity and democracy. This is at this place you actually can see how it has the emphasis on, the people and democracy, etc. We also visited the city of Beijing for a week, and it has been the capital of China for several dynasties, so for obvious reasons, it has a lot of historical significance. We could talk about the cultural significance of education in the Chinese context. We could also talk about how, Tiananmen Square is the iconic space where a lot of student protests, student movement took place. So it was also the place where we can see and experience. And so the timeline, briefly, we spent a week in Tucson for orientation, for linguistic and cultural orientation. So we had teachers who are Chinese language teachers. We also had teachers who had very little experience with Chinese. And we designed language training for different levels. And then we spent 4 weeks in China in the past summer, the summer of 2019. During the time in China, I incorporate a lot of research on, study abroad and ethnography. So we did a lot of events and activities to meet Chinese educators, students, and perspectives. We visited different schools in China. We visit public, private schools. We also visit New York University in Shanghai to see the global collaboration. We also had peers. So this is something that we've been talking a lot about in study abroad literature. So each of the participants was paired up with a local K-16 educator. So for example, if they were a high school teacher, they were paired up with another high school teacher in China. And I facilitated the discussion prior to their departure using telecollaboration, and then we continued the kind of conversations during the project. And in the presentations that you will hear, you would see that there was actually continuing conversations going on now. All participants also had a one weekend of host family. We really just one day to visit host families in China to see what it's like in a family setting where you have parents and children who are students, and also some of the host families were teachers themselves. And we also had academic lectures that talked about China's, contemporary society, one-child policy, education. We also had informal discussions, a walking tour with a professor at the U of A whose specialty was on student movement in Beijing. And we also met with organization leaders who actually cannot officially be recognized as organization leaders in the Chinese context. And we visited a lot of meaningful sites. We visited a Gaokao site, which is the college entrance exam. So in the Chinese context, we have one exam that determines which college that you go to and which major you will have. So it's a very high-stake test that you will see you will understand a lot about the Chinese cultural context and society from seeing the anxious parents and children. And we also went to the marriage market in Shanghai, which I can tell you a bit more if we have time during the Q&A. So anyways, our panel today, we have Madison, who will be talking about the elementary school context. We will have Sandra, who will talk about the middle school context. And then Mariah will be representing the community college context. And we do have two Chinese language teachers, Caroline Grant, who will be speaking about their experience, how as non-native speakers of Chinese, how this experience helped them understand what authenticity means. And then we will also have Amanda and Kate, who will be talking about the experience on ESL teachers who work a lot with students coming from China here. And so really all of the presentations following this are going to be very much the auto-ethnographic approach to understanding study abroad from their own perspectives and from their continuous perspectives in very diverse teaching contexts and in various ways. So the way that the panel will be structured will be like this. So we will have 3 presentations more or less focused on the K-12 teaching context. And then for those of you who are more interested or familiar in the K-12 teaching context, you're more than welcome to ask questions. And then we will be moving on to Mariah, Amanda, and Kate to talk about the post-secondary context. And then we'll have a final Q&A session in which you can ask us about the project in general, or more focused on the post-secondary education. Okay, I think my time is almost up, so I'm going to move on to Grant and Caroline.